per person. That's £200 off for a family of 4.
Confounding, crowd shouting, victories within reach, no doubting. We're champions, born in the fight, in the DRL, we own the night. Degenerate race league, this is our creed. Fast and furious, it's all we need. It's all we need. It's all we won't look like. We own the track. We own the night. We own the night.
Hello, and welcome back to another night of racing in the Degenerate Race League. We are back with Season 7 on to Round 6 in ACC. Before we get started, just take a quick moment to thank all of our wonderful Patreon members here in the DRL. These fantastic people who you see on the screen in front of you help support the league, keep the lights on, and contribute to the many tools and things that keep us running here at the DRL. So a big thank you to all of these folks here. If you're interested in helping us out with Patreon, there are links in our Discord channel. Well, let's have a look at the schedule. Our season started at Misano. We went to Coda. Our round 3 was Mystery Track, which was Imola. Round 4, we went to Kailami for a reverse grid race. Round 5, which is last week, at Indianapolis. And this week we are back for another Mystery Track, which we'll get to in just a moment. And next week we're at Paul Ricard before we finish things off at the Nürburgring 24-hour layout. Well, let's have a peek and see where we landed for racing tonight. Drivers didn't know which track we were doing until 5 minutes before practice opened, which was just about an hour ago now. So let's take a look and see where they landed. As always, we put the eligible tracks on a list, or on a wheel here to spin. Spin it around, round it goes. Where does it land? Well, yeah, I know. Red Bull Ring is where we're at for tonight. We have a lot of very excited drivers. This is always a fan favorite, really good racing track. You get really close times from top to bottom, which always makes it super exciting. Let's have a quick look at our standings after the first 5 rounds of racing. First off is our pro category. We got Neil Kerbel leading the way with 198 points. Darren Wicks in P2 with 162, and Nathan Henderson holding on to P3 with 155. Over in our Pro-Am category, we have Albert Gania leading the way with 153. As you see on the screen here, we did have a little bit of an error with results at round 4. Albert did finish DNF in that race and was not eligible for points, so we've made a slight correction there, which will be updated on SimGrid later on. Over in our AM category, Damian Zawadzki has a fairly commanding lead with 192 points. Alan Leung in P2 with 170. And Tyler Morgan in P3 with 168. Taking a quick look at our constructor standings, these are our teams of drivers. Hirsch Racing leading the way with 366 points. Close behind is Morgan Motorsports with 331. And in third place we have Braun GP with 324. Well, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Morgan Dino. We are back for another night. Joined alongside me, as always, is Dan Dilator. Dan, how's it going tonight?
It's going great, Morgan. Excited to be back for another race in the Red Bull Ring, a fan favorite track, like you said, and a track that leans itself for great racing. Everyone's familiar with it. It's a short lap, and it should be exciting. A lot of opportunities to make moves. I expect to see some tight racing, and I cannot wait for this to start. As we dive out, we're following along Tyler Morgan here, who is probably our most excited driver on the track as he begins his qualifying lap. You know, we got started a little bit late here, but as we take a look at that practice session, Tyler led the amateur class by about half a second, if not slightly more than that, putting up a 128.8 in practice. So I think that's a target lap time for him, and let's see if he can hold that up.
Yeah, Tyler, definitely probably the biggest advocate for the Red Bull Ring here in the DRL. Begs and pleads it for us to put it in every single season if he had his choice. So he was a very happy fellow when the mystery track was announced here tonight. And as we suspected, Dan, pretty quick off the hop, straight out of practice.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, this is a track which you can carry a lot of speed through these turns, but it's also easy to overdrive and invalidate your lap. So it'll be interesting to see, do the drivers go aggressive right off the bat, or do they put up a lap just to a little banker lap to play it safe and then start attacking from there? So I think we're going to have another great qualifying session. As you guys might remember from last week in Indianapolis, it was quite the exciting finish to the race. We had overtake after overtake after overtake in the standings, and I expect to see something similar tonight.
Yeah, Dan, and I think Red Bull Ring is maybe the one track we can say that it's not hard to overtake here. Of all the tracks in the game, I think Red Bull Ring might lend the most overtake opportunities. We have a lot of long straights here that are really dependent on getting good traction out of corner exit, and if you don't do that, it's very easy to get eaten up down the next long straight, especially as we see here Don Fossman coming into, I guess, what effectively turn 3. That's a corner that's absolutely critical to get right in the race. Any mistake kind of either going in too late or coming out and spinning the rear tires is going to open up a great overtake opportunity for somebody close behind.
Yeah, absolutely. All about the exit speed here. You got to make sure that you get a good exit out, especially on those long straights, which almost all these long straights lead to a great overtaking corner as well. So they need to be prepared for that. Something else we could see here is a bit more contact than we've seen throughout the a lot of the races this season. Because we do have these corners where you're going to have a lot of cars side by side, you get drivers who are a little late on the brakes as they look to make a move. And, you know, we may see some door banging tonight, which is always exciting for our drivers. So we got Tyler Morgan, who's put up the first lap here. He's at a 1 minute 29 seconds and 445 milliseconds behind him. Tarugo comes through his first lap a full second behind him. So as expected from Tyler, who probably has about, I don't know, 1,300 hours on this track, it feels like. He should come out with a pretty commanding lead. Don Fossman's going to finish about 2 seconds behind him, as well as we have Will Sanchez almost having someone run into the rear of him. I think that might have been Zawadzki. So just as a reminder for all of you out there, you cannot overtake in qualifying unless the driver invalidates their lap. So if you are faster than another driver, you want to make sure you give yourself some space, as we see Zawadzki 2.2 seconds behind Tyler, but 10 seconds for Sanchez behind, who must have had something happen on his lap. And Zawadzki might just want to back off a little bit and set himself up for another lap. What do you think here, Morgan?
Yeah, a little puzzling, Dan, and Sanchez, sorry, not Sanchez, is that Zawadzki we're riding on board with? I think it's Sanchez. Sanchez, new to the grid and maybe just not fully aware of the amount of space he has on track. That's the one thing that the AMs do have the benefit of this season, with being the smallest class and them having the track to themselves, is that Sanchez has all the, or sorry, not Sanchez, you're right, Zawadzki has all the room in the world to not have to ride this close to the back of Zawadzki, is now that I'm figured who is who out.
That's all right.
Yeah,
you get there
lots
eventually.
of you get there eventually. Lots of space on track, right? We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 drivers, right?
Right now, crank it up.
Yeah, we lots of space, time to go. So it's good to see he's backed off there. It looks like a little bit right before it switched over to Don.
Yeah, and Morgan, it looks like this isn't Sam has redeemed to crank it up, and he wants to follow along with Vlad's first qualifying lap when he heads out there. So we go out there. Let's make sure we flip it over to Vlad for Sam. And Sam, thank you for redeeming a crank it up.
Yes, and everybody, if you were with us last week, we had a bunch of technical difficulties with our streaming platform. None of our channel redemptions were working, but we are all back up and running this week. So feel free to go ahead and redeem those channel points for some fun stuff on screen as Don Fossman is coming around here to finish off this lap, sitting in 4th place at the moment, still trying to improve. Got 3 minutes and 50 seconds left on the clock for these AM drivers, so Don should be able to get this lap in, and if he's got enough fuel, he might just squeak in another. So Don could potentially still have 2 more cracks at it, and we will see as the clock ticks down. And when he comes across the line here, if he's improved, looks like he may have invalidated his lap, so I don't think this one's going to bump him up. No.
Yeah, and just taking a look at the time standings here, we got Morgan with a 128.7. So he has actually got better than his best lap in practice, which was a 128.8. So I got to think he's pretty happy with where he's standing, and he's still a full second above Tarugo, 2 seconds above Leung, 2.8 seconds behind Fossman, or in front of Fossman. Zawadzki's 2.9 seconds behind him, and Sanchez has got it down to 8.9 seconds behind Tyler as well. So I think Tyler's got to be feeling pretty good here. But you know what we're going to get into for Tyler today is he may find himself again battling with the Pro-Am class. And he's got to make sure, you know, that he looks to race his race and knock it out of it. He's currently at 168 points. Zawadzki's leading this championship charge with 192, but Tyler's absolutely still in fighting position, and he really needs to make sure that he seals that first place position, and maybe hopes Tarugo or Fossman can work their way up into the podium as well to try to get that point advantage over Zawadzki. Yeah, and as Nyred says, is very true. Tyler is a Pro-Am at the Red Bull racetrack. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think, Dan, we might see him mixed up more than just Pro-Ams. Looking at the practice time, I mean, it was a pretty mixed grid, and this is what Red Bull Ring usually seems to do because the times are so tight. You know, we pretty much had a mix of Pro-Ams, AMs, and Pros scattered all over the timing sheet. So, yeah, curious to see how things shake out here for quali, and it's going to make for a fun race for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And because I'm looking here, and I got the fastest Pro-Am lap in practice out at 128.5, so he's right there. And a 127.9 for Kerbal in the Pro class. So, I mean, he's only a second off Kerbal's speed, so that really shows where Tyler's at. As it looks like Fossman might have invalidated there as well, and if not, he probably lost a lot of time going over the sausage curve there.
Yeah, I can't confirm. It's unfortunate that he went out there because he was 6/10 up on that lap. So a real, again, like you're talking about, Dan, push a little bit too hard here. It's really easy to go outside of track limits and then throw that whole lap away. Good news for Don is I think he should make it to the line in time to have one more go.
Yeah, and as we saw last week, you know, that last lap is really the crucial lap when we saw Zawadzki, I think it was over Tarugo where he got it by 600th or 6,000th of a second. So, you know, you just get that track a little more heated up, a little more optimal temperatures, and, you know, you can find that 10th difference, which can make all the world, especially when you're looking between Zawadzki and Tarugo, who Zawadzki's got that down to only 2/10 behind Tarugo, who Tarugo is in the pits. So his qualifying session is over. We got Will Sanchez who's coming through, who's looking to maybe improve that time a little bit. We're riding along with Fossman here, who Fossman looks like just starting his lap. So he was able to get that in just with the nick of time as he's going to look through and see what he can find on his lap. But Zawadzki looks like the one to watch here is if he can pull up 2/10. And I don't know if you can see on the timing sheet, Morgan, nope, he pulled into the pits. So there we go. He did not find the time, or he invalidated, so he has closed that off. We still got Leung out there putting up a time. We still got Sanchez, who I think Sanchez has to be finished here. I don't think he had enough time to get another lap in before that started, so he may just be circling it around into the pits or pulling off, and Don got in just in time, so he's got about 30 seconds. So remember, once we get this through, we want to follow along with Vladislav Maverick for Sam's Crank It Up, so we can do a little ride along with him, but let's give him some time to get that out lap done and follow along with him on his qualifying lap.
Yes, we just keep an eye on Don Fossman here as he comes toward the end of his lap to see if he can improve his time up from 5th position amongst the AM class. Don approaching the penultimate corner now. Oh, it looks like he goes wide, and that's going to be it for Don as he throws it away, drives into the pit lane, and that'll do it. Well, like we promised for Sam Bozak, let's go find Vladislav Maverick. Hop on board. Whoa, he's in the right-hand drive car. This is weird.
Yeah, it's definitely weird, but I don't know. The times I've kind of played with it a little bit, I found it much easier to... I found it surprisingly easy to drive. It just, after a while, it starts to get at you, because it's just a different sensation than what most of us are used to.
All right, well, we'll shut our mouths. We'll crank it up for a full lap of Vlad's first. Oh, looked like a pretty tidy lap from Vlad there, Dan. Good first banker lap for him. Good time on the board, and hopefully see him continue to chip that away as the session goes on.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think he's going to be complaining about it too much, at least as far as it goes for Vlad complaining. But, I mean, just kind of taking a look here at where Tyler finished. And, I mean, I know we just got the first banker laps in, but, I mean, currently P2 overall is incredible. And we see Kerbal come out with a 128.5. I think he's going to really push to get another full second off that time. We got Nyrad's putting up a great time. We got Darren Wicks, Gavin Cook, Henderson, Don Donovan, Spencer Braun. But we still got a few of the pros who were up there in the timing charts who haven't got their lap in yet, like Stefani Hirsch, Professor Kronotis, and of course, Evan Zabrog.
Yep, still lots of times to be had and times to continue to tick down for these drivers. As we've talked about on past streams, car performance continues to get better at lap after lap to a certain point in qualification. So those first couple laps are all about just getting your tires up to the optimal operating temperature, increase that grip, and as the fuel burns off too, car gets a little lighter, and you get a little bit more time down the straights.
Sam says, whoa, Tyler, I think this is his favorite track. Sam, I think you are right. And now we see the time start to come in as Neil drops it down. We got Henderson, who's back up on the timing charts with him again. Darren Wicks, 2 tenths behind him. Gavin Cook, 2.7, or two hundredths off, or 2/10, excuse me, off Kerbal as well. So we got a tight grid here in the pro class, which we'll expect. So this looks like it's going to be a good qualifying session.
That's the guy that didn't have to
back
pit.
and forth.
Yeah.
And as a
Get
reminder
bent,
to
Chris.
all our viewers here, we are in September. And what we're going to do again this week is for any pole sitter in each class who ends up winning their race, we will donate subs to the channel. So, excuse me, let's cheer on our pole sitters and hope that they can pull through for another victory. Last week we had 2 of our pole sitters end up finishing in first place as well, and we ended up with what, about 15 subs donated, Morgan?
Yeah, we gave out a lot of subs last week. We had some few people give out some extras, which was very kind. So, yeah, it was a lot of people in the sub giving mood last week. But yeah, you're right. We did have 2 of our pole sitters take wins in their classes last week, which was awesome and exciting to see.
Along with Hermanis, who I think he's really looking to improve his time. Through practice, he was our lead Pro-Am driver with a 128.5. He is not there right now. He's about a 129 right in there, so he's going to hope to find about half a second, but we have Nyrats who's put up a great time here, and once again, it looks like they're going to be a battle for pole position in the pro category. Who is a little bit farther down the standings here is Gania as well.
Yeah, real interesting too here, Dan, having a look at the standings. I see P5 and P6 happen to be Tyler Morgan and Mitch Nairati, which if you were with us last week, those two put on quite a display of racing. Tyler Morgan in front of Mitch, not giving up the spot despite being in different classes. Tyler deciding to put up a fight, and we saw some good racing action between those two last week. Hope to see the same again tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. And looking how close it is between Henderson and Kerbal, we should get a great battle there. Although I gotta think that Kyle or Daniel, do we have Kyle here today? Or is it just Daniel that's here today?
Do not see Kyle on the grid tonight. No, I just see one Hirsch brother. Yeah, and that's just Daniel.
So Daniel's going to look to get into that mix again. Him and Kyle had a great battle as well in Indy, but Neil just had such great pace on that track that he was unstoppable out there. But it looks like he's going to have a lot more competition. Wicks is only a tenth behind. Henderson, like we said, is 800th of a second. And Gav Cook right there is also in the mix, only 3/10 off. Vlad's really improved that time, as well as he is currently leading the Pro-Ams right now, only half a second behind Neil, which is great.
Yeah,
and
and
Sam
we could
is saying, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I gotta say, we could see a real mix-up in the Pro-Am category, so Gania is still leading the overall for that class, even with the points correction. But should this shake out where it's looking like, as it stands, Gania kind of being at the bottom of the Pro-Ams at the moment, we could see a bit of a shake-up in the overall, and I know Vlad hasn't attended enough races to be in contention, I don't believe. Same with Donovan, but Mitch Nairati ahead of him will be pushing further up that standings board. Same with Evans Brog and Arthur Hermanis.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know Hermanis he's eager for this. So he was in a great battle for it last season. Had some vacation time planned and missed a couple races, which knocked him out of the running for the championship. But yeah, I know he's hungry to get back in there, and he is right in the mix. He put up a great practice time. It's kind of fallen off in quality, so I don't know if he just couldn't piece it together the way he did in practice. But it'll be really interesting to see. But I was saying earlier, Sam brought up in chat that Tyler is 6/10 behind P1, and it's seriously messing with him. And it's so great to see, but it is, such a great lap. And I think Mitch hopped in chat here earlier, and he said P8 qualifying income from Tyler, and P8 is what he's currently at. We have Evan Zabrog and Arturas Hermanis, who still have a lap to finish up here. who are behind him who could ruin that prediction. But yeah, Nyrad seemed right on with that P8 prediction, which is funny to see.
I don't think we have any more drivers improving to finish up qualifying here, Dan, just looking at the timing boards. So I think what we see is what we're going to get to finish our qualification session. One more driver to hit the line, looks like. Nope.
All right.
That's Evansbrog spinning out.
Yeah, there we have it. We got Darren Wicks, who's put up pole position for the pros, and we have Don Donovan, who put it up at the end for the Pro-Ams. So if Tyler Morgan, Don Donovan, or Darren Wicks is able to get the win tonight in their class, we will get some donations for September. So make sure you hit that follow button so you're eligible to get a sub donated to you. But what a finish there for Wicks. As we thought, this is going to come down to the last couple laps of qualifying here, and both Wicks and Henderson were able to get ahead of the great and powerful Neil Kerbel. And I don't know if we can pull up those timing charts just to take a look at what that separation was, or if you have that up. I'd be really curious to see how close they ended up finishing, and we weren't really following along with Neil. I don't know if he just invalidated at the end there or if something else happened.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure, Dan, and my timing charts has moved even to the race session, so I do not have the qualification times. That is something that I wish I could see, but it appears I cannot.
All right, well, with that, why don't we get started on a quick grid walk as we work up the grid here and see our drivers' beautiful cars. We have in pole position overall for this race and in the pro category, Darren Wicks leading this grid out, followed by Henderson, car 31. Behind him, we have the great Neil Kerbel, who will look to make up some places and should give some exciting races right off the bat. Followed by Neil Kerbel is number 69, Gavin Cook. And giggity. And then we have our pole sitter for the Pro-Am category, Don Donovan, racing in car 333. Followed by the fan favorite Vladislav Maverick, car number 74, looking to battle with him right off the line. Then we go back to the pro category for Dean Stefani in car 87. Following Dean is car number 72, our pole sitter for the AM class, the Tyler Morgan. Behind Tyler is Daniel Hirsch from Team Hirsch Racing in car number 48. Followed by car 32, Mitch Nyradi, who's looking to make up some positions and have another great battle with Tyler. Then we're going to get into Spencer Braun, car number 7, teammates with Gavin Cook. Then we're going to go to car number 25, Evan Zabrog, who's looking to make up some places. Then we have car number 44, Arturas Hermanis, who felt slow in qualifying and is looking to make up some places as he battles for the top spot in the Pro-Am category. Then we have Professor Chronotis in car number 420. Let's go, buddy. Behind him is Albert Gania in car number 98. He is rounding out the Pro-Am categories and is definitely looking to make up some places as he looks to hold on to his title. Then we're going to move back into the AM category with Senior Tarugo in car number 8. Then we have Damian Zawatsky in car number 18. We should see a great battle between those two. And we can't forget about Alan Leung in car 555 as well. Alan Leung, I feel like, has been a little bit of an underdog this season. We haven't talked about him too much, but he is right there in the standings, only a few points behind Zawatsky. Behind him is going to be Don Fossman. We saw him putting up some great times in qualifying, but he would just invalidate. He's going to have to keep that car on the track, and he should have a great time racing with a beautiful new Duracell livery. That is nice. Behind him, we have Sanchez in car number 107, rounding out the Pro-Am category. And we have a surprise entrance who's going to be looking for a last to first move, which is not encouraged, but we're happy that Kyle Hirsch, car number 402 from Team Hirsch Racing, is going to be able to make this race tonight, a last-minute ad, so he's going to be here. Morgan, we got a lot of exciting things that's going to happen on the track. One thing I'm going to be looking at now is Kyle Hirsch, and what's he going to do? He's got a lot of AMs to work his way through here. Does he look at doing a very early pit stop, or does he look at fighting these guys through? We will find out in about 45 seconds here, but what's something that you're looking forward to this race?
Yeah, well, great to see Kyle show up right at the nick of time here. Unfortunately, not making qualification does mean he's going to start at the back of the grid. And yeah, curious to see what his strategy ends up being. Obviously, needs to wait until the pit window opens, which is about 5 minutes into the race. So he's going to have to try to make up some time and positions right off the get-go. But after that, he will have a few choices to make when it comes to strategy. What I'm looking forward to for the rest of this race, Dan, is, we got a good battle at the front. This is one of the first times I think we've seen Neil not take pole position. We got Wicks and Henderson both ahead of him, so I expect a really good battle amongst those top three for the race. Gav Cook absolutely could get involved in there too if he can stay with those three as they try to battle out for overall position on track.
Yeah, and one of the beautiful things about this track is you're going to get right into it in turn one. It's not a long run to that first corner, but you're going to have drivers looking to make moves as we start our formation lap. As a reminder, we do a full formation lap here at DRL as these drivers are going to get ready. They're going to heat their cars because they're going right into a battle right off the grid here. I also want to give a quick shout out to John Malott in the chat. Malott, we love you. We're missing you out on this grid. We hope you're doing better. And, for those of you out there, Malott is one of our favorite AM drivers out here, although we don't have favorites, wink, wink. But Malott, thank you for joining us in the stream today. And should be a really exciting race here.
Yeah, John out there cooking power supplies with the new video card, I hear. So hope to have you back here next week, John. And for anybody who's seen some beautiful shots of that number 11 Duracell livery that Don Fossman's rocking, that's courtesy of Mr. John Malott.
Right, as we follow along with Wicks, who is leading this pack out here. It's going to be interesting watching Tyler. We said he might be having it mixed up with the Pro-Ams, but he is actually sandwiched between a couple pros and a couple very fast pros. So it'll be very interesting to see what he does. I can't see Tyler wanting to give up, 8 places or so just to stay out of the way. And I think he's going to have the pace to be out there, but he is definitely going to be battling out there, and it'll be really interesting to see, just with this shakeup, do some of these pros who are down the grid start to get aggressive and make some moves, or are they going to be patient and wait for that opportunity? We do see the cars side by side here as they're going to start getting ready to work their way towards the final straight, and then they will be off. I don't think Henderson's going to wait around too long and let Darren Wicks run away with this. I think we're going to see some moves right into this first corner. And, I'm thinking there's going to be some type of contact somewhere on the grid going through either the first turn or I guess what is the third turn of this track. So I think that's going to be a little mix up and see who gets caught in that and who can go safely. As we work our way down the final straight here, as we wait for the lights to turn green, which should be any second now, let's get ready for another race in DRL.
Green light, show them what you got.
And we're green and they are off. Darren looks to get a good jump off the light, and we have Kerbal as well, who's kind of setting himself in position. Henderson's going to have to defend from him, but Kerbal's going to get a much better exit, and he's going to take that P2 right off the bat from Henderson, whose exit was a bit compromised, taking that inside line, trying to be a bit defensive. As we do have some contact here, Zawadzki's gone off. It looks like him and Tarugo might have made contact somewhere as well. Let's see, we're following along with Tarugo there. Are we looking at a replay here?
No, we're live.
No, we are live. We are following along with, we're following along with Tarugo, but we're seeing Kyle Hirsch, who's made up a lot of places right off the bat as well. As he looks to continue to battle, as it looks like he's behind Gania and Hermanis as well. He's going to throw it down the inside. A very risky move by Kyle Hirsch, who makes that stick. That was a ballsy move to throw it in the inside that well. Now he's going to be side by side with Hermanis as well. So he's going to look to make a move on the outside. It looks like he is going to get that to... No, Hermione's is still holding it in. Hermione's is choosing to battle with him, and now he's going to make it stick here. Hermione's is going to have to pull out, and he's going to compromise his line too much as we look to make our way through the final couple turns of this track. As Kerbel's gone off, it looks like him and Wicks might have made some contact there. I would love to see a replay of that when we get an opportunity, but Kerbel was able to save his car with an incredible save as he's got Henderson right behind him and Wicks behind him as well. What a battle right off the bat, Morgan. How about that, huh? Oh, we have contact! We have Henderson run right into the back of Neil Kerbel. That is going to spin Kerbel, and Kerbel is not going to be too thrilled about that as he's going to lose a bunch of places. It looks like Henderson's going to have taken the lead and pushed him off the track in that way. I don't think it's affected his car too much, but how about that? We got chaos all over the place on this track.
Yeah, well, like we talked about, Dan, sometimes Red Bull Ring brings out a few more collisions because of these long straights and drivers trying to throw in a late brake move, as we saw there. Yeah, let's go back and have a look at a couple of the replays. We'll start with one back early on between Neil Kerbel and I believe it was Wicks that we didn't quite catch. This would have been on the opening lap. Yeah, so Wicks leading the race. Kerbel did looks like he made it up into P2. As they get towards the final corner here. Oh, looked like unaware from Wicks there. Kerbel was alongside it into that corner. I'm not sure if he was just didn't expect him to take a move there, but yeah, a little bit of contact sent Neil sliding, but did end up in front either way.
Yeah, that was a great save by Neil, and so sportsmanlike from Wicks to bump him back straight as well, too, instead of sending. So it looks like if our timing board is correct, Darren Wicks is currently in first place. Gav Cook is in second, followed by Henderson. Then we have Don Donovan, who is leading the Pro-Ams as well. We have Dean Stefani, Daniel Hirsch, Vladislav Maverick, Neil Kerbel, Spencer Braun, Evan Zabrog, Mitch Nairati, Tyler Morgan, Professor Kronotis, Kyle Hirsch, who's made up a lot of places and worked his way through most of the pro categories, as we see him make a move on Professor Kronotis as the cars are bumping and banging a little bit there. We got Hermanis, we got Senior Tarugo. Gania is still down there trying to find something to make work. And then we got Alan Leung, who's in third place, Don Fossman, Damian Zawatsky, and Sanchez. So, I mean, just looking at this from the start, Tyler's got to be pretty thrilled with it. He might have lost a couple places, but he seems to be in a good place. He's got about half a second to Kyle behind him. But he's got Tarugo and he's got Leung in second and third, which I think is exactly what he would be wanting here to try to make up some standing points on Zawatsky.
Absolutely, Dan, and just taking a look as you went through the leaderboards there, some of our winners and losers since the start of the race. We've got Kyle Hirsch. He has made up 8 places from starting at the back, so yeah, up to P13 for Kyle. As you mentioned, though, he is now tucked in behind Tyler Morgan, and with the pace we've seen from Tyler, could be a challenging overtake as we ride on board with Vladislav Maverick, who's got Tyler right behind him, and Kyle. Kyle's going to take the outside around Tyler. It looks like Tyler just going to let him go. Not a battle he's interested in having at this race. Tyler, I think, knowing he is quickest amongst the AMs this week and just going to try and get this one done cleanly.
Absolutely, and as we were watching that battle, if you could see in the background, we saw Evan Zabrog go flying off the track. So I don't know if he had some contact made, or as you know, in the final couple turns, I believe they're turn 9 and turn 10, it's very easy to take just a little bit too much speed on those, and once you hit the gravel, you are a missile without any control, really. So we saw Evan Zabrog falling all the way down the timing charts here into 20th place. As we fall along, Professor Kronotis, who is right behind Arturas Romanis, who is, Arturas has to be feeling this pressure here right now. As he's going to be able to make a move inside here. He might take a little grass. I don't think he's going to get the exit speed to make this move stick. And we have Gania right behind them as well. So we got a tight 3-way battle here within the Pro-Ams. Gania's going to take the outside, and if he can hold this, he may have a great opportunity for a good exit here. But he's going to back off, which might be the smartest decision here because cars do tend to run a bit wide on those turns, and you don't want to become a victim of unawareness. But yeah, we have a great battle here, and Tarugo's actually sitting in the background here waiting to maybe pounce on some type of contact or mistake. So we see Hermani's go wide.
I'm not sure what happened here, Dan. I just noticed we lost a driver. We're down to 20 with 21. I think Maverick might be the driver that's gone. I don't see any... Oh, I do see an accident. No, I don't see an accident for when he left. I do have a yellow flag. Let's take a quick replay and see if we can see what happened to Vladislav. That was Vladislav there in the Bentley, driving the number 74. Oh, just pulls over, and that's it for Vlad, it looks like.
About 4 laps of ACC is all he had in him.
That's all he had in him. Hope everything's okay. Maybe had something he had to step away from his brake for. Gonna miss you for the rest of this race, Vlad. Looked like you were in a pretty good spot.
All right, as we follow along with the race winner, Darren Wicks, who has to be feeling good that he's avoided some of that chaos. He's got a good full second lead on Gav Cook here, so Darren Wicks has to be feeling like he's in a pretty good place. We got Henderson down in third, Don Donovan, who's up in fourth overall, so he's got to be very happy with his race, and it looks like he's got about 2.5 seconds on the Hirsch brothers, who Kyle has caught up to. No, that's Kerbal behind Daniel Hirsch as well. So where is Kyle Hirsch here on the standings?
Kyle's made his way up to P10 now.
There he is in car 402. So a great drive from Kyle Hirsch, but yeah, Neil dropping down to 6th. He's got to be, I got to think, maybe driving a bit angry here. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's possible that, I don't know that he has a significant amount of damage, but we did see him get hit twice, once there on the opening lap, and then again into turn 1 from Henderson, a little bump into the rear, so maybe dealing with a little bit of damage affecting his car's performance in aerodynamics, but yeah, potentially one thing that can happen in ACC, Dan, is you have a few big slides like we've seen Neil had, and those tires can really start to degrade, and now he's just driving behind other cars in what effectively we call dirty air, and probably just not getting the performance out of either the car or the tires that he's hoping for. But let's also not forget that it's hard to overtake in ACC in general when you're that evenly matched with the drivers ahead, and we know, especially tonight, Neil on pretty close pace with all of the cars in front of him. So this is one of those tracks where, you know, somebody like Darren starting out in P1 is where you want to be, because you essentially get to dictate the race pace and kind of hang on to that position as long as you're just slightly quicker than the guy.
Yeah, and as we follow along with Neil racing along with Daniel Hirsch, and it looks like Neil's got the inside, and he should be able to make this move stick. I don't think he's going to get too much of a fight from Daniel, because he has made up a lot of places, and he is going to get that overtake completed. Something else I want to point out here is we had an early pit stop from Albert Gania. Ooh, as we got another little bump there on Neil. So Neil's just an absolute magnet tonight.
Yeah, it looks like Neil's got a target painted on the back of his car, unfortunately.
But yeah, Albert Gania has chose to take an early pit stop, so let's see how that plays in. You know, we've talked a lot about Red Bull being a short track, but one thing that comes into play with the short tracks is finding that open air for a pit stop where you can start to hot lap and you don't get caught up having, you know, overtaking behind you where you got to get off the racing line to let the lap cars go by. So, you know, I think this is one of those where you got to pit early or you got to pit at the absolute end of the race. Because it's not easy to find space where you can have some clear air to just drive and not lose too much time.
Yeah, it definitely a little bit trickier with the strategy here. Yeah, it's really a tough call. Again, if you decide to pit early, it's not going to be long before you catch back up to drivers on the lead lap. And then if you've got pace again to be faster than those drivers, yeah, it's tough. You can make dives and late, outbrake other drivers, but at the end of the day, when you get side by side with other drivers, your lap time total is not going to be quick. So it's really hard to move up the field if you do make an early stop and have to fight through traffic.
Yeah, very well said. So it'll be interesting to see what everyone else decides to do here, as we have seen Henderson, get past Gav Cook, and he's in second place now, so he's got that down to about 9/10 behind Wicks. And Gav Cook's still got a pretty good lead to Don Donovan, and then Kerbel's behind him, continuing to close that pace off. So Sam said, I stepped away for a moment. What happened to Mitch?
What did happen to Mitch? I don't see anything in my... What number is Mitch? Number 32. A couple yellow flags for Mitch. I'm not sure if he just had some off-track moments. Those were just recently. Prior to that, I've got an accident reported on lap 6 for Mitch, so we can have a quick look back and see what happened there. This looks like it's heading up to turn 1. He's alongside Spencer Braun. Tucks in behind. It looks like that was just a bit of bumping and banging with Stefani on the straight, so nothing from that there.
Yeah, nothing too crazy. So, I mean, it could be a matter of pace. It could be, Sam, there's been a bit of chaos throughout this race, and he could have just got stuck in some spots where he was needing to take avoiding action and just kind of lost some time with it. We did see Evans Ubrah go flying off track, so little things that happened with there. Vlad as well. I did reach out to Vlad. Vlad said he was caught up in some contact in lap 2 and had about a minute worth of repairs that he needed to do, and he just felt a little discouraged from that, felt like there was no coming back from that lengthy of a pit stop, and decided he was just going to retire the car for the evening.
Tough going for Vlad, unfortunately, as we see Evans Brog have a moment there coming through the final corner. Car getting a little squirrely on him as he tries to make up some positions. Evan currently sitting in P14, which is third place amongst our Pro-Am drivers. Pro-Am drivers seem to be pretty spread out, as you mentioned earlier, and Don Donovan sitting in an overall P4 is going to be really happy with the race he's having. Mitch Nairati down in P13 is the next Pro-Am driver.
Yeah, we see Spencer side to side with, is that Daniel Hirsch, I believe? So Spencer, who is, the Great Wall of Brawn, as we call him out here, our defensive superstar. Let's see him on the attack for a change. This will be exciting to see this battle here, and where can Spencer make that move?
Yeah, Spencer and Daniel have often been found driving side by side or nose to tail in many races in DRL history. These two very, very close on overall pace, so it's not unheard of to find these two battling it out around any of the racetracks we take on here in the DRL. So yeah, Spencer is probably just going to sit in and wait for a mistake, being that he's so closely matched in pace with Daniel. Daniel, however, doesn't make very many mistakes, so curious to see if this is going to come down to strategy. Spencer potentially has the option to look at an undercut if he thinks he can make a pit stop, have more pace in hand to get a few laps in before Daniel jumps into the pits himself.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we were following along that little battle there, we did see Neil Kerbel make a dive on the inside on Don Donovan to get 4th place currently overall as he works on his recovery drive. He is about 7 seconds behind Gav Cook in 3rd place as he looks to continue powering forward. We have Henderson, who has now taken the lead over Darren Wicks. He is in 1st place by about 7/10. So Henderson has been able to make up his places from all the chaos in the very beginning. And we got Gav still kind of keeping his nose in there, holding a good fight. So you love to see that from Gav. So exciting battles up and down the grid. We also see Damian Zawadzki, who's made up a ton of places here now. He is about 5.5 seconds behind Tyler Morgan in 12th place. Tyler's got Professor Chronotis, who's about half a second behind him. So this is going to make for an interesting dynamic. Does Tyler look just to let him go through quickly and look to push the pace on Damian, or does he lose a bit of time trying to battle the pro and hold position, which maybe he does have better pace than them all in all. They seem to be pretty tight, so that's something to watch here.
Yeah, absolutely, Dan. And as our cameraman jumps back on board with Nathan Henderson in P1, we didn't see the overtake that he made on Wicks, unfortunately, and I don't have it in any form of replay. Curious to see if this battle continues or if Nathan just starts to walk away with it here. We know he's got really strong pace here at the Red Bull Ring, but we know Wicks is no slouch either. So I don't think that battle for the lead is over just yet. And then we'll be curious to see, as you mentioned, if Kerbal can start to chip away at that time to chase down Gav Cook for that final podium place.
We'll let you know when to turn it back down, but for right now, break it up.
As we follow along with Evan here, who did get past Tarugo, but he is not really running away from Tarugo too much. So Tarugo is not one to back away from a fight regardless of who you are or what class you're in. So if Tarugo can kind of hold on here, he may look to make a move at some point, although it does seem like Evan is inching away little by little as we follow along in this battle as well.
Yeah, well, and good timing on the camera being on Evan, because we had Vladislav just redeem a crank it up for his boy Evan Zbrog. So let's jump on board, let's shut our traps, and let's enjoy a full lap around the Red Bull Ring with Evan Zbrog, the Koki. What a lap by Evan Zbrog. Thanks for the redemption, Vladislav. As we jump on board with Spencer Braun running into the side of Daniel Hirsch. Oh my, up into turn 3. Spencer Braun is going to get away and get by Daniel, but is that fair racing?
You know,
we will have to see.
No, we'll need to go back there and take a look at that, because while we were riding along with Evan, Spencer actually overtook Daniel. So I think Daniel ran into the back of Spencer trying to make a move on the inside, as we see Kyle has worked in his nose into this battle as well. But yeah, as soon as this thing calms down a little bit, let's go back and take a look at it. But it looks like Kyle right now is on the inside ahead of Daniel now. And both Hirsch brothers are going to experience the Great Wall of Braun. Oh, Kyle's going to take his brother out. We got Stefani who's going to make up places there as this is just chaotic. No love in the Hirsch household.
Cars.
It looks like Don Donovan thankfully was able to stay out of that chaos. It looks like Stefani might have gone off a little wide there as well. Kane and Abel, absolutely right.
All right, Dan, let's go catch a replay of that first incident we were talking about between Spencer and Daniel and see if we can figure out what happened there. You're right, Spencer is leading up into turn 3. So that is Daniel Hirsch. Looks like just turns in a little early and clips the back of Braun. Didn't look too horrendous, but all in all, a little bit of contact, some hard banging. Drivers still stay in the positions they were in going into turn 3.
Yeah, it almost looked like Daniel thought he might run a little deep in that turn there and almost tried to hit like a switchback type move from the rear where it kind of pulled that into the inside a little more, thinking they're going to run wide, and just ended up coming right into the back of Spencer a little bit. But man, was that chaotic there. You had, what, 5 cars battling, and I can't believe no one killed anyone more than that.
Yeah, that was pretty wild. Yeah, that battling just kind of bunched up that whole pack of cars. And we had 2 and 3 wide there going through the last few corners of the lap.
Yeah, and we got some Cooper bots in chat. Cooper's not here, but he is with us in spirit. And the bots, it's great to have you guys in here rooting him on. We cannot wait for Cooper to come back. Next season, I believe, is his plan to come back. So we cannot wait to have him back on the grid.
Yeah, Cooper Atherton taking a season break here at the DRLs. We see contact between Spencer and I believe that was Kyle Hirsch, or was it Daniel again?
I think it was Daniel again in the same corner, and yeah, Kyle's gonna be right there, and Spencer's gonna still hold that position. So yeah, it's tough, and you know we got to kind of see. You know, the HUD a little bit more to get a better idea. I don't know if Spencer's just slowing down more than they're expecting it to, or if they're just trying to get a little bit aggressive. But we had a comment from Bert in the chat that the Hirsch brothers are going to throw down in the garage, and I think you're absolutely right. I think they're going to get on some VR boxing and duke it out in VR. For those of you that don't know, Kyle Hirsch does race in VR exclusively.
So we can save a little money.
As we feel along with Hermani's here. Hermani's is in P4 overall for the Pro-Am class. So he's got to be feeling like he's got some improvement to do. We've had a few other drivers take pit stops. So Gania was first, but we do have Tyler Morgan who has taken his pit stop, and Sanchez as well. So we see the first few drivers starting to work their way into the pits. It'll be interesting to see when other drivers decide to look to make some pit stops. As we kind of work down this grid here, Henderson is in first place. He has pushed that lead over Wicks to 2 seconds. So he seems to have pace that Wicks can just not keep up with. Gav Cook is a second behind Wicks. He's going to feel like he's got some opportunity to continue to make up time on Wicks. And Gav's got great pace because Neil has moved to 7.5 seconds behind Gav. So Neil is not making up time right now. He seems to have some damage, cooked his tires like we talked about earlier, Morgan, or something has happened. But Kerbal is not making up the time. Behind that, we have Spencer. Spencer's been in quite a bit of contact here, a lot of incidents. I don't know how much damage he's carrying. It hasn't looked too severe, but you never know with, you know, sometimes little bumps are cause a lot more damage than you think. Behind him, 8 tenths behind is Kyle Hirsch. Then we have Dean Stefani, 6 tenths behind him. And Professor Kronotis has made up a ton of places. He's only 3 tenths behind Stefani. So we got all the pros kind of working their way into the top 8, besides Daniel Hirsch, who has decided to make his pit stop as we follow along with Stefani pulling into the pits as well. Don Donovan is still leading the Pro-Am category. However, Mitch Nairati has made up a ton of time and a ton of places from whatever happened earlier, and he is only 4 tenths away from Don Donovan. So that's something to keep an eye on. Can Mitch continue to make up the time as we see, who is that? Kyle Hirsch again, right on the back of Spencer Braun. So behind Don Donovan, oops, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, it looks like Daniel Hirsch did dive into the pits there after the most recent contact with Braun, so maybe deciding to get his pit stop done out of that battle, maybe fix a bit of damage from the contacts he's had there with Braun. And yeah, now we've got Kyle Hirsch chasing down Spencer. Curious to see how these two battle now throughout the remainder of the race. So Kyle's made a lot of positions up, starting at the back of the grid, now made his way up to 6th spot. Incredible driving by Kyle and positions made in this race so far. I think the Minister of Defense in Braun is going to prove to be his toughest challenge yet.
Yeah, absolutely, and a few other things to keep an eye on here. Zawadzki, he's in P1 overall in the AM category. He's had some great pace that he's found throughout this race, especially from where he came from qualifying. Tyler's pulled into the pit lane, and what does he do? Does he continue to push this out, or does he look to try to quickly cover this pit stop and maybe get ahead of Tyler here and not give him time to make up places? Tyler's got a few people to work through, especially in his own class. He's going to have to get through Leung and Tarugo, who I don't think are going to be too keen on just giving up that position to him. So that'll be something interesting to watch. And then again, we have, well, it looks like has Zawadzki got ahead of Mitch Nairati? I don't know if we can pull over to that with the cameras or not, but it looks like he might have actually got ahead of Nairats by 7 seconds. So something must have happened to Nairats there. He must have spun off the track or something. But he's got Evan Zabrog about 3 seconds behind him, and Hermani's right behind him. So we still got a battle in the Pro-Ams as well. Tarugo and Leung following them. And then we have Gania. Gania is the only Pro-Am who has pit so far. And just taking a quick look at the timing standings, it looks like he's not that far behind these guys. And I don't know how long a pit stop here is. Usually we're talking about 40 seconds, right? Maybe a minute if it's a longer one. But it feels like Gania has set himself very well with that early pit stop.
Yeah, the pit time here is not super long, Dan. It is a fairly short pit lane. I believe transit time is around 30 seconds or so. And then drivers are going to have anywhere between about a 7 to 8 second stop if they're only taking fuel. Tires are obviously going to bring that up to a 30-second stop. So total amount of time in the pit lane, we're looking between about 37, 38 seconds.
Yeah, I think something that's sometimes underrated, especially in ACC, is how well do you pull into your pit box. Ooh, as we got Kyle getting real close to Spencer there as he looks to keep that pressure on. And, Spencer's not one to break easy under pressure defensively. He knows how to hold his line. But, yeah, I got to feel like he's thinking about that with Kyle getting so close. But as I was saying, I think something that's overlooked is how successfully can you pull into that pit box. Because if you pull up a little too far or you pull up a little too back, I guess, you can kind of find yourself wasting 2 or 3 seconds in there, just having to get your car readjusted that right pit lane, and that can make all the difference in the world when the times are this tight.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Dan. I mean, just looking at our pit stop information that is available to us here, Gania had a total transit time of 29 seconds, whereas Tyler had a transit time of 32 seconds. So just goes to show you at kind of once you get into the pit lane, if you don't absolutely nail your pit box entry, it can add a lot of time to your total time for doing your pit stop.
Yeah, and as Kyle is attacking Spencer, he's going to have to start defending from Professor Chronotis, who's sticking his nose in on Tyler as well. We got a great three-way battle, and I got to think Spencer would not mind a few laps to breathe a little bit. We have about 9.5 minutes left for these drivers to take their pit window, and we have not had a lot of drivers take that pit stop yet. So it'll be really interesting to see when over the course of the next 9 minutes these drivers decide to peel in, and do they do it at the same time, or are they going to do it at a different time?
Yeah, it's really hard to say, Dan. I mean, obviously, you know, strategy-wise, you don't want to pull in on the same lap as the driver because there's no chance to, you know, either overcut or undercut. The only hope there is the driver ahead of you makes, you know, a poor pit stop and, like we talked about, misses their box. So I think if, you know, Spencer dives into the pits, then, you know, Kyle's probably going to try to run a couple more laps, you know, if the pit window allows for him to do so, to try to put a little bit of quicker lap times down, and then when he completes his stop, he comes, you know, effectively jumps him with the overcut. That said, you know, Spencer's going to be watching in the mirror, and the second Hirsch jumps into the pits, Spencer's likely to do so on the next lap to try to cover that off.
Absolutely, and we're seeing Zawadzki has taken his pit stop. He's come out, and if the timing chart on the screen is correct, he has come out 1.5 seconds behind Tyler Morgan. So this should be a battle in these final 13 minutes of this race here between those two. That's something to kind of keep an eye on, is Zawadzki able to start making up some time on Tyler with this second and a half as he goes. As we look at our top four, we have not seen any of Darren Wicks, Gavin Cook, or Neil Kerbel be able to make up any time on the drivers in front of them. They're all just slowly falling farther and farther back. So unless something crazy happens, those four seem to have kind of fallen into their place. Although 5th, 6th, and 7th is up for anyone, as we see Kyle look to make a move along the outside here. I don't think he's going to be able to make that stick as we look from Spencer's hood cam, and it seems like he is making that through okay. Kyle is going to have to back off a little bit, but he does have Professor Kronotis right behind him as well. This is a tough spot to look for an overtake. You probably want to focus on your exit speed a little bit more as we go through these turns, and line up down that first main straight is going to be really your best opportunity, unless you try to throw it down the inside on these final turns here. We saw Neil do that earlier in the race, but I don't think either of these drivers have the pace to make that move. They're going to focus on that exit into turn 1, or as they go down to the main straight towards turn 1, and hope to make a move either on turn 1 or turn 3, where we've seen quite a lot of action today and contact as well.
Yeah, turn 3 is going to be your best opportunity for overtaking here around the Red Bull Ring. For the simple fact that it's an uphill braking zone, Dan, so a lot easier to get the car slowed down, which really encourages you to maybe send a bit of a dive and a late brake. It's a really slow corner in Apex, so you see Spencer just move off the outside of the track there right to the middle to just kind of not give Kyle anywhere to go. So as we've talked about before, Spencer lining up the car exactly where he needs to hang on to that position. As we saw in the last lap, Kyle did try to have a go around the outside here, but this is such a tough corner to do it because it's downhill braking. It's really hard to get the cars slowed down, so it's not a spot on the track that you can push the brakes a little or too late on, otherwise you risk going off into the kitty litter there, and once you get into that gravel, you're game over, because it slows the car down so much, and if Kyle were to make that move, he's going to lose a spot, potentially with Knows behind, so he has to be mindful of that in this battle too.
Yeah, that's a great point you make there. And, as we've been following along with Spencer, it's just, it's a masterclass, as we talk about over and over again in defense. But one thing I've really noticed with him is Kyle's going to look to go, oh no, Spencer pulled into the pits there.
Me too.
But yeah, one thing you notice with Spencer is he does a great job of positioning his car in the middle of the track. And I think one reason that gives him such an advantage, rather than pulling all the way to that inside line, is he's not compromising as much exit speed, having to take that tight turn, which really sets him up well from corner after corner. So Kyle's going to find himself here going from the predator to the prey, with Kronotis right behind him, 3/10 behind him, as he's going to start feeling the pressure from that. As we look down the grid a little bit more, let's see, has anyone else really taken pit stops? Not really that I see. So it looks like something happened with Zawadzki, because he is about 8 or 9 seconds behind Tyler. So either had contact with Stefani in there, or he's just had a moment going off the track. But Tyler has pretty much a 10-second lead here, and I think that's probably going to be enough for Tyler to solidify that lead as long as nothing happens to him. But none of our top 8 have decided to pit yet, so it'll be interesting to see if any of these guys decide to dive in. We're following along with Daniel Hirsch as he makes his way around. Maybe that was Tarugo. It looks like they might have been going around. But we got Gania right behind him as well. So a big winner here in Gania, who Gania looks to be only, I got to wait to see where Spencer comes out. I don't know if you have the timing tables a little more available, but it looks like he could be pretty close to that 30-second mark to Don Donovan right now.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty close. Spencer came out and he's got a lot of free air, which is good for him and the battle he was having with Hirsch and Chronotis. So Spencer's got a little bit of breathing room now. He doesn't have a car breathing down his back. He can come out, get those tires back up to temperature, and then just try to hot lap some consistent lap times in for the remainder of the race. Looks like Chronotis and Hirsch are still lapping, and they're really close in battle. So Spencer's hope here is that those two, now those two are the two fighting it out for position, that they're slowing each other up a little bit, that he's able to get a little bit more breathing space come them completing their mandatory stops here.
Yeah, and it looks like Don Donovan and Mitch Nairati have decided to take their pits at the same time as they come out. Gania has got ahead of them through the pits, it appears. We got Stefani, who's got a drive-through penalty coming out of the pits. I'm guessing that's for speeding. But what a drive by Gania. He is in the lead right now. It looks like he has about a 7 or 8 second lead over Don Donovan and Mitch Nairati. So what a decision for Gania. What an incredible drive from last in the Pro-Am division to currently first. He's got to keep that on the track for 7 seconds. But talk about the early pit stop working for you, huh?
Yeah, well, let me just take a moment to put my foot in my mouth as I commented on how where Gania started this race could really shake up the standings. He's maybe heard what I said, took it personally, and decided to drive himself all the way up to the top of the Pro-Am standings. While I'm looking at the Pro-Ams, though, Dan, I'm realizing that I think we're missing another driver. We're down to 19 now, and I believe it is Evan Sprague that has left the race. So again, I'm not sure if it's something we missed on track, and Evan decided to call it a night and go get some rest.
Yeah, and I think just looking at how this race has played off overall, Gania, as he's making a move on Daniel here, it looks like, which I'd be careful if I were you, Gania. You got quite the lead right now. No need to mess that up. But Gania decided to pit early, and he just said, I'm going to pull into the pits. I'm going to kind of hot lap and overtake some of these slower drivers, which should be a little bit easier for me. We saw Donovan get mixed up in that 6-way battle between the Hirsch brothers and Spencer Braun, and you kind of get mixed up in some of that chaos and some of the battles, and it just slows your pace down overall. So yeah, I think it was a really wise decision for Gania to take the strategy that he took, qualifying where he did. All right, we have 45 seconds left with the pit window open, but all our drivers now have officially done their pit stops. Henderson is still in first place. About 2.5 seconds behind him is Darren Wicks. And it looks about 30 seconds behind them is Gavin Cook. So I'm not sure if that's an error on the timing table or if that's just where they're at.
Yeah, that'll be just everything getting caught up after they're making their pit stops there, Dan. So yeah, everything's updating now, Dan. Gavin,
there we go.
Only
so
2.5 seconds back.
Yeah, so they're kind of sitting where they were. Darren Wicks is still losing it feels like a 10th or 2 each lap. Gav's pretty much staying there. Kerbal's still 8.2 seconds, so not a lot's changed there. Spencer's found himself some breathing room from the Hirsch brothers. It looks like Daniel was about 1.8 behind him, and Kyle is about 1.3 seconds behind him. And then behind Kyle is Albert Gania, who is 0.3 behind Kyle Hirsch. So he's kind of got himself mixed in there. Professor Chronotis is rounding out the Pro-Am division, 1.3 seconds behind Gania. Then we're going to move back into the Pro-Am division. Mitch Nairads is 9 seconds behind, almost 10 seconds behind Professor Chronotis, who he's got ahead of Don Donovan. I don't know if something happened there, but something to keep an eye on. And we have Tyler Morgan. Tyler Morgan is in first place for the AM categories, but 2/10 behind him is Don Donovan, and only 6/10 behind Don Donovan is Damian Zawadzki. So Damian is closing that gap on Tyler, which was about 1.5 seconds about 5 minutes ago. So this is going to be close to see what he can do as we're riding along with Damian Zawadzki. He's going to try to ride in that right along the back of Don Donovan and see what happens with Don and Tyler, as Don's going to want to try to make up some time here to see if he can get that final, well, if he can move up to P2. And behind Zawadzki, we have about 1.1 seconds is Hermanis, followed by Leung, who is in third place for the AM categories. Behind him by half a second is Tarugo. Tarugo's going to look to capture that final podium position from Leung. Something to watch. Behind them is Don Fossman, and pulling up the rear in 18 is Sanchez.
Yeah, so really interesting to see how things shook out after everybody made their pit stops, Dan. The notable one for me is where actually Daniel Hirsch came out. So as we saw earlier, a big battle between him and Braun. Daniel dove into the pits early. That battle then for Braun continued with Hirsch and Chronotis. Meanwhile, Daniel getting his pit out of the way and doing a bit of lapping seems to have paid off, because now that Kyle and Chronotis have pitted, he has effectively jumped those two again. So again, going to show that strategy can make up some spots for you. Kyle now in a position to try to chase down his brother again, who we've seen some contact between them a couple times already this race, to see if he can get that spot back.
Yeah, and Damian Zawadzki has got ahead of Don Donovan. He's lost a bit of time in that battle, 1.1 seconds behind Tyler Morgan, with about 2 minutes remaining in this race. So what to watch here is, can Tyler manage this pressure, and can he hold Zawadzki by 1.1 seconds over these final 2 minutes? Now we're looking at Alan Leung and Tarugo as well, who are battling for that final podium position in the AM class. They are all battling for total standings in the Drivers' Championship for the AM class. So they're going to be fighting hard here. Tarugo is not going to want to give that up, as Leung is going to hit the sausage curve and he is off the track. Tarugo is going to take that final podium position. You hate to see it. Your heart bleeds for Leung. That is a horrible curve to get on top of, because you are taking it at such a high speed that it just unsettles the car, and there's nothing that you can do to save it. You are just a passenger at that point.
Yeah, it looks like he just caught a little bit of oversteer, snapped him right at the worst part of that corner, kicked the rear out, and you got nowhere to go but to bounce through the gravel. So yeah, good to see those two battling. Very unfortunate for Leung. See if he can collect himself just to lap out the rest of this race here. But as you said, Dan, looks like Tarugo is going to take that final podium spot for AM, as we get the message saying that our leader is on the final lap. So Nathan Henderson, what a drive he's had. Started out in P2, has made his way into the lead of this race, pending any penalty outcomes, of course, as we've seen quite a bit of bumping and banging in this race day.
Yeah, we definitely have. It's been much more of a physical race than we've seen a lot of the other ones. Drivers definitely getting their elbows out, a lot more contact. So we're going to have a busy week for the stewards this particular week. But something else I want to point out is Zawadzki has fallen off here. I don't know if Tyler was listening and stepped on the gas a little more or what's happened, but Zawadzki has fallen behind Don Donovan again, but he was continuing to lose time to Tyler Morgan there and was at about 1.5 seconds. He has pulled in the pit lane, so I'm not sure what's happened there. For Zawadzki, there must have been some sort of contact or incident for him. We have about 10 seconds left in this race as we follow along for the finale here. But it does look like Zawadzki is a lap ahead of Tarugo, so that should not affect his standings, but maybe not. We'll have to see where that ends up playing out with the timing charts as we follow along with Nathan Henderson, who is going to finish with a victory here in DRL. A great race for Henderson, finishing, followed by Darren Wicks in second place, and Gav Cook rounding out the podiums for the pros and the overall podiums. a great race all in all for all three of those guys. They're going to be very excited. Then we have Neil Kerbel rounding out in 4th place. A great recovery from him given all the incidents. It will be interesting to see maybe with some of these times so close if any penalties come into play that could alter these standings after, as Spencer swerving down with Daniel Hirsch a little bit there as they finish, followed by Kyle Hirsch, Albert Gania, Professor Chronotis. So we do have Gania closing off the 1st place for the Pro-Am category. Incredible race for him. Don Fossman has finished his race as well. The first AM to finish, although it looks like he is finishing in about 5th place. And Zawodzki given his pull into the pit lane. He's lost his podium. Tyler Morgan is 1 for the AM class. Don Donovan's finished. Arturas Hermanis has finished in 4th. Tarugo's going to finish 2nd overall, and Alan Leung's going to finish 3rd. So a big shape up with the podium. Tyler's got to be really happy about how this thing has finished up all in all. I don't know what happened to Zawodzki there. He was right behind it, and he's gone from 2nd to 4th. That's going to kill him in the standings in what is a very tight battle. We have Leung still to finish here. We have Zawodzki to finish here, and we have Sanchez to finish here.
Yeah, Dan, my only guess is that he maybe ran out of fuel, as he looks like he's even crawling now. Like maybe he did a splash and dash and just barely made it to the line there. So I wonder if Zawodzki underfueled at his pit stop and had to dive in to make another before this race was over.
Yeah, it definitely could have happened, but we did have one of our 3 pole sitters ended up coming in 1st place today, which is our AM pole sitter, Tyler Morgan. A great victory for him. Tyler's got 1st place in the AM category, Gania in Pro-Am, and Henderson in the Pro category. So a great race all in all. Let's get a sub gifted here and figure out who is going to get our sub donation tonight. Quick drum roll here. It is going to go to Prevallies. So Prevallies, congratulations on getting the sub. You can thank Tyler Morgan for it, for winning a race tonight. You love to see it.
Yeah, congratulations, Prevallies. Thanks, Doc, for handing out that sub to one of our lucky viewers. We're just going to take a quick break here while we get our highlights reel loaded up and ready to go. I think it's going to be a good one to watch and see what drivers are ready for an interview tonight. Stick with us. We'll be back here in a couple minutes. Everybody, we are back. We've got our race highlights up and running, and we've got drivers waiting in the green room, Dan. So let's go ahead and start pulling them in and talk to our drivers of the night.
Sounds good. Let's start off with the one, the only Albert Gania. Albert, welcome to the stream. How you feeling after that incredible race tonight?
Hello everyone, hope my mic is okay. I feel really sore. I was sore already, and I tensed up a lot when I race. I'm in VR, so that didn't help. That's a good result.
You're racing in VR too, huh? That is incredible. I'm not someone who is successful racing in VR at all, but I think what we want to ask you about is what was the mindset going into the race? Because I think we can all agree it probably wasn't the qualifying results that you were looking for. But a great strategy came into play, and you found yourself leading the Pro-Ams with the last couple minutes here.
Yeah, lately qualifying hasn't bad. I haven't been preparing or practicing so much. the tracks, and I couldn't have prepared for this one. I messed up the final qualifying lap. I was about half a second up, and that would have moved me up a little bit, but I invalidated it on the final corner.
Yeah, that is the beautiful thing about the mystery tracks, though, is for those of us that don't have a lot of time to put in the practice laps, it kind of levels the playing field. So an absolute great result. I mean, you're continuing your dominant streak. Are you feeling the pressure at all at this point, or are you just enjoying the ride?
I felt like I needed to do pretty well here. You were giving me the feature, and the past 2 races I DNF'd pretty early on, so I needed to make a comeback.
You did, and I do hate to be the bearer of bad news on the stream here, but I did have some stuff come up during the week, and I was not able to finish our DGen of the Day segments. Those are going to feature next week. So a little sneak preview for you guys all, but Albert Guinea is going to be our featured Pro-Am in our race next week. But Albert, that was a great race. It's been a great season for you. We've really enjoyed watching your battles out there on stream. One thing that we noticed at the end of the race, you ended up catching up to one of the 2 Hirsch brothers, and it looked like you were thinking about maybe that battle. Was there any consideration into making that move, or did you just kind of decide, let me sit behind it and just collect the win?
I just wanted to sit behind. I know they're both Hirsch brothers are faster than me, and I'm very happy to sit behind them. I had a good gap, I think, to the second Pro-Am car, so it was okay. I didn't want to cause any drama, or they were catching up to maybe the Pro ahead. Didn't want to mess with that.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, from the booth here, we love the drama, so next time you want to take someone out, Morgan told you to do it.
Well, I took out Arthur's last race, so I didn't feel good about that.
Yeah, Morgan, do you got anything for Albert before we let him go?
Yeah, just fantastic driving, Albert. I know you've had a couple races, like you mentioned, where you've DNF, but all the ones you've finished, you've put it on the top step of the podium. So great racing this season. I know you had a great season last season as well. So good job out there. And you know, it's always tough on a track that you haven't been able to practice throughout the week. So like you mentioned, maybe didn't start where you wanted to on the grid with the invalidation there of your lap, but yeah, great drive and good recovery to drive her all the way back up to the top step.
Thanks, everyone.
All right, have a great night, Albert. All right, next let's bring in the other victor of the evening. We have the one, the only, Tyler Morgan. Tyler, another great victory for you tonight. How are you feeling after this race?
I definitely feel like it's nice to finally get that win that I've been trying for at this track. It's been kind of all the times I've been here prior, either drive through or minor mistake and stuff like that. It's great to finally get that win, get it under the belt. Definitely had the pace to keep up with the Pro-Ams, but I think after my pit stop, I tried to keep it going down. So I didn't really want to push it really hard. All in all, I'm happy for the result, and I'm absolutely more happy with what has occurred in the back of the field.
Yeah, that was going to be the next point I made. I mean, I'm not sure what happened with Zawadzki. I don't know if you heard in chat or if he's mentioned it somewhere. Our guess was maybe he ran out of fuel. But yeah, that really worked out to your advantage.
It definitely did, and I'm very happy for it. Now it's just going to come down to the final 2 races with Paul Ricard and Norris. So, Paul Ricard, definitely not my favorite tracks, but this is the time where we buckle up and get ready, because there's so much to play for here in the it's a fight, that's for sure. I'm not going to let him exactly get away with it, so.
Yeah, and with the way the standings will play out today, I think that's, you know, you're going to find yourself making some great places, making some great points up. And, you know, Paul Ricard, I think, is one of those tracks no one seems to like. So I think it's kind of a level playing field all in all for everyone. We noticed during the race, as Damien came out of his pit stop, all of a sudden he kind of appeared right behind you. And for a minute there, we thought, you got Don Donovan, who was like 3/10 behind you, and then you had Zawadzki, who was like 6/10 behind him. At any point, did you start to feel that pressure? And, you kind of mentioned it earlier, you have great pace here, but you've been very unlucky during races. Did any of those thoughts come into your mind?
Oh, of course. They always come into your back of your head in those moments where you're not suspecting things happening. I'm lucky. I did not expect Damien to be as close as he was out of the pits. That was definitely a shock to me. I got pretty lucky that he got stuck in the spot out the side. So, that and then Don decided to move up. Can't really turn one as payback, I guess. But, it was definitely a situation of once Donovan ended that loop, I knew I had to lock in. Because at that point, I was racing Donovan, Damien, and then I hit like 2 other people. So I had to really hyper focus, and I cut it close to the track a few times, but I made sure not to get that elusive final track up because I had that but lucky for me, I did drop some force. We'll see how that brings me into the championship. That is
Yeah, and that's all you can do is, unfortunately, when you're trailing other drivers, all you can do is put up the most possible points that you can, and their results are a bit, out of your hands. So you keep winning races, I think you'll find yourself in a good place. Morgan, you got anything for Tyler?
Oh yeah, what do I got for Tyler? I bought him an Aston Martin GT3. So congratulations on your win, Tyler. You got a new car.
Free iRacing, I get Red Bull, and I get the win. What's gonna bug me now is definitely Imola start running towards my head, because that was a race that would have been so easy and I have a 6 in P2. So if this season ends with me being where I am, if I finish P and finish P2, that's gonna be a tough place.
Yeah, well, there's still a couple races left in the season, and as you know, anything can happen here in the DRL. So, Tyler, just all around great performance. The chat was loving you out there today, especially in qualifying. One thing that I thought was pretty crazy is as soon as you guys started your qualifying, Mitch Nairati popped in chat and said you were going to get P8 overall in qualifying, and you finished P8 overall in qualifying. So you got to get Mitch to pass over that crystal ball he's got to us, because what a prediction by him. But we loved the qualifying. It was some mega pace that you had all race, and you just dominated out there within the AM class. So I hope you enjoy your win, you enjoy your car, and we are excited to see you on track again next week.
Thank you very much. And,
All right, take care, Tyler. All right, next, let's keep it going with the AM category, and we have Mr. Tarugo himself. Tarugo, thank you for joining the stream. How you feeling tonight?
Feeling good. It was a sweaty race.
It really was in the AM category. I mean, it was some domination from Tyler in the qualifying session, and it just felt like Tyler was out there, and then everyone else in the AM category was battling within themselves. Tight qualifying, and then the race starts, and it's just everything's all over the place. Damien comes out of the pits, and he finds himself in second place. You have a tight battle to the very end with Alan Leung, which was an exciting battle to watch out on the track. You find yourself stealing that final podium position with 3 minutes left, and then all of a sudden something happens to Damien. I don't know what happened. I don't know if he ran out of fuel. That's kind of our bet here. But all of a sudden you find yourself in P2 in a tight battle for the AM overall. So I think that had to be a great surprise from you. But man, what an incredible race tonight.
Yeah, I'm pretty bummed for Zawadzki. He's really good. He puts up some great laps. He's super quick. But yeah, I'll take it. I'll take P2. I think he ran out of fuel, unfortunately. Tyler was on a different level, man. As soon as he found out that this was the track, he was celebrating. He already knew. Yeah, you could tell it was one of its favorites, and it shows. It very much shows. So I'm happy for him. But I'll take P2, and I'll just keep working on it. It's been great. It's fun.
Yeah, and you guys are all still there. It was a big 4th place that Zawadzki came in for all of you guys because you're all making up a lot of points on him here in what is an extremely tight battle. So, but really enjoyed watching that battle with Alan Leung at the end there. What was going through your mind as you were trailing him with just a few minutes left in the race?
Well, it was 7 minutes left. I'm passing the pit exit, and all of a sudden I see Leong in front of me, and I'm like, what the heck just happened? So it was basically head down, let's just focus, let's reel him in, let's try to make him make the mistake. And I got him at that corner where he just hit the curb. I think he got into the dirty part of the track, and he just lost it, allowing me to go through. And it was good. It was basically just focus and try to get him to make the mistake, force him into the air, and it worked out.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It did work out. And one thing I found very interesting tonight was seeing kind of the dynamic shift. And Morgan, I don't know if you noticed this too much, but it felt like we didn't see too many dive bombs or aggressive maneuvers by our AM drivers, which usually get a little bit more aggressive driving with each other. You guys all sat there, waited, kept the pressure on, and let someone make mistakes. And on the other hand, we saw the pros get really aggressive with each other and had some incidents happen. So big props to you for just sitting there, keeping the pressure on him and letting him make a mistake and capitalizing on the opportunities as they were given to you.
Thank you. Yeah, that was fun. It's always fun, guys. Thank you so much for setting us up.
Yep. Morgan, you got anything for Tarugo before I let him enjoy his evening?
No, wonderful driving yet again, Tarugo, and just to echo what Dan said, some fantastic racing across the whole AM class. It was the pro drivers that were the bad boys tonight. So, way to keep a level head out there, and to take that final podium spot there right in the last lap.
Thank you so much, guys. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, have a great night. All right, let's bring in Gavin Cook next. The one, the only Gavin Cook, welcome to the stream. I hear it's been pretty lonely out there in the cockpit without me in your ear, huh?
That's right. I love the sound of your voice in my ear. Whispering me sweet nothings.
Exactly, as I crash in the wall. But what a race for you tonight. How are you feeling about that?
Yeah, pretty pumped. I was surprised with, because I practice kind of went usual about 7th place, and then qualifying I was up to 4th. I was like, okay, this might be okay. I'll probably watch the top 3 just fly off, and it wasn't the case. They kind of bumped and banged a bit at the start, and I was hoping they would take each other out. And Neil probably had too much damage by the end, but yeah, I kind of kept pretty close to them, which I was surprised by.
Yeah, you did a great job just kind of maintaining the pace with everyone. It wasn't too exciting following along with the front 4 because you guys just kind of gained a 10th or lost a 10th on each other throughout that race there. But great pace all in all, and you did a great job of avoiding all that chaos that happened between the first 3.
Yeah, that was. I was just kind of. At the start, I think I let Darren. No, it was Henderson. I just let him by and just kind of. Or maybe it was Neil. It was probably Neil actually. Just let him by and just kind of watch it happen, and hopefully they get aggressive on each other. But yeah, once all that happened, it was kind of just trying to keep as close to Darren as possible. I was like, I'd gain a 10th and I'd lose a 10th, and then after the pit stop, I kind of lost a couple of seconds. But sounds like you might get a few penalties anyway, so fingers crossed I might pick up a second.
Yeah, there was, definitely could shake up the standings as well with the penalties. But we'll leave that for the stewards to decide. Were you feeling any pressure throughout the race tonight as you found yourself in 3rd place, or were you just cool, calm, and collected like always?
Like always. So when Nathan was behind me, it was I knew that he was going to be quicker than me, so I defended a little bit, but it was never too bad. And then with Neil, it was just I saw he must have had damage because he wasn't putting in the crazy lap times that he usually does. So I was kind of seeing him catch me just a couple laps, and then it seemed to just I just seemed to pull away. So it wasn't too bad. So yeah, I was pretty much hot lapping, so it probably wasn't too exciting after the first couple of laps for you guys. But it was enjoyable coming third place anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, Neil did find himself having a couple little incidents going off track where he was bumped off, and we think he might have cooked his tires a little bit too early, and they just kind of burned out by the end. Morgan, you got anything for Gav?
Well, I mean, it looks like you finally found yourself on the right side of luck, Gavin. I know you've had a lot of races where you've not had a race without contact or getting collected by somebody else. So awesome to see you finish one out with no incidents. And like you said, you might have a P2. It could even be better than that, Gav, because I know Nathan was also involved in some shenanigans early on. So yeah, curious to see what gets reported and what shakes out the stewards room. But great race, Gav, and congratulations on a well-deserved P3.
Yeah, Gav, it's been great watching you grow up this season from just a young little lad 6 seasons ago when we started together, and here you are, a podium stander in DRL. What a transformation from a caterpillar to a beautiful butterfly you have undergone. But it's been great watching you race this season. I'm sad that I'm not in there racing with you, but I have enjoyed watching your continued success. So keep up the good work. You should be making up some good points on Daniel in the overall standings. I think you'll find yourself in 4th place. So just hold on to that 4th place and keep doing the best you can.
Couldn't have done it without you, Dan.
All right, Gav. Have a great night.
Thanks, buddies.
All right, Morgan, well, that's about it. Before we go, I just want to give a quick shout out to Smokin' Tires, who gave us a little raid here tonight. So Smokin' Tires, I appreciate it. Welcome to the channel. Unfortunately, you just caught us at the very end of our race here. We just kind of wrapped up the last of our interviews here, but we really appreciate you coming and checking out the channels. And for all of you in the chat here, check out Smokin' Tires channel, give them a follow and see what they got going on. I think their tires may be smoking. So, but thank you for coming in. And Morgan, what a race tonight. It was really enjoyable seeing all those battles out there. It was exciting from start to finish. Was there anything that stood out to you?
I mean, the whole race start to finish was another good one, Dan. I mean, I didn't know that we could top the excitement and the fun that we had last week, but this race proved to be just as exciting. A lot of good battles up and down the tracks, and some great changes from start to finish for some drivers like Gania, who started at the back of our pro-ams and made himself all the way up to P1. So yeah, just another really great race here in ACC in the DRL, and looking forward to what next week brings with Paul Ricard. I know it's not a lot of drivers' favorite track, but from what I understand, it is another track that does also provide good racing and some good overtake opportunities. So yeah, tune in next week to see how things shake out amongst our grid. And I think that's it, Dan. We'll probably wrap it up.
Yeah, absolutely. And just a big thank you to everyone who's interacted with the channel today. Mav, Malot, Sam, again, Smokin' Tires, thanks for the shout out. Of course, the Cooper bots as well, popping in and saying what's up. We appreciate all you guys interacting with us. It makes it so much fun for us when you guys are chatting with us and interacting. And if you're lurking in here, we love you as well too, but always feel comfortable to chat and say what's up. Love to chat with the viewers here. So yeah, Morgan, another great night. Cannot wait for next week. And again, thank you all for tuning in to DRL Season 7 here on our mystery track, which ended up being the Red Bull Ring.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.